On first down, they hand off to Marlon Mack. Huge hole, 50-yard line. He's at the 40, still going near sideline. He's at the 10. He's at the 5, and he will score. Touchdown, Marlon Mack. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. And again, it's picked off. It's Darius Leonard. Leonard with a second INT, and he's streaking down the near sideline. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's going to go. A pick six for the Maniac.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What is going on, Colts Nation, and welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Well, the 5-3 Indianapolis Colts coming off a disappointing 24-10 loss at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens at home, head down to Nashville to face AFC rival Tennessee Titans on Thursday Night Football. The Titans sit at 6-2 right now atop the division, and the Titans were winners last week against the Chicago Bears. And to help us preview this game, please welcome on friend of the show, fellow YouTuber, Mr. Titan Upload himself. Thank you for coming on, my friend. How are you doing?
Good. Hey, thanks, guys, for inviting me. Can't wait for Thursday night. It's going to be an epic showdown, Thursday Night Football. Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know it. Well, first. So the Indianapolis Colts are facing off against, obviously, the Titans. The Titans have one of the best run games in the league right now. If you can see that graphic, the Titans come in right now 6th in rushing yards per game, 147.6 yards per game, 8th in rushing yards per attempt. And if we go down and scroll down real fast to the Colts defense. So the Colts defense is looking really good too. Let me pull that over real fast. Colts defense is looking really good as well in terms of stopping the run. The Colts right now are 3rd in the league in stopping the run, allowing 83.6 yards per carry, and are 1st in yards per attempt. So let me ask you this question real fast. How do you think this Colts defense, one of the top units is stopping the run, what do they have to do in order to stop Derrick Henry and this top-tier Tennessee run offense?
I mean, if you're asking me personally, you look no further than what happened last week with the Chicago Bears, right? I mean, the Bears legitimately took Derrick Henry out of the game, and I think Vrabel took Henry out of the game. And once Henry came out of the game, the Titans offense, I guess we only had 11 first downs against the Bears. The Bears have a tough unit. But, you know, when we face you guys, Saffold should be back. So that's some good news. You know, our left guard got hurt last week against the Bears, and he missed the second half. And when you have to rely on Douglas, it's tough, let me tell you. But, you know, without Taylor Lewan, the left tackle, the last couple of weeks, it's really hurt the Titans. The pressure's been a lot more on Tannehill. And that's one of the things that, you know, the Titans are going to really have to try to do early is get, like you guys said, get the run going. And lately it has not been working for us. We've been going too much play action and then trying to get Henry involved. And then finally you see Henry on the bench because, you know, you're not going to, you know, use Henry on 3rd and 9. So we'll have to see what happens. But I am scared of that Colts defense. Like you mentioned, 3rd, I believe, in the league and the rushing defense or something like that. You know, it seemed, I mean, they held the Bears. I know the Bears don't have a really good rush offense, but you held the Bears at 28 yards. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts have been, you know, doing that all season when it comes to a lot of running backs. I mean, you've seen what Dalvin Cook has been doing across the league all year long, has been putting up massive numbers on just about everyone, but his worst game, interestingly enough, was against the Colts, where he had 64 yards of total offense and basically had a late garbage time touchdown. So, I mean, you know, the Colts have been doing this against everybody. I mean, the best game that anyone's had was the Browns, and Kareem Hunt in that game only had 85 rushing yards. So, I mean, this Colts defense definitely can do a lot. But I want to ask you specifically what you believe the Titans need to take advantage of to beat the Colts, because I know it's a broad question, but obviously we just mentioned the rushing defense against for the Colts is obviously really good. We don't think that Derrick Henry is going to go for 150 yards like he's capable of doing against most teams. one thing that I do think you guys could definitely take advantage of that the Colts have struggled with all year has been the play action across the middle. That has been the Achilles heel for the Indianapolis Colts, finding that soft spot in the middle of that zone, in the middle of the field. The Lions took advantage of that. The Browns certainly did. A lot of teams have really hurt the Colts that way. And, with as good as the secondary has been also, it's one of the few spots that you could hit on this Colts defense that actually is still vulnerable. So what in your mind stands out that the Titans need to do in order to win this game?
Well, I think two things need to happen. Number one, we do need to set up the run. I mean, play action's only going to get you so far if you're not doing really well. I think we were under 3 yards per carry last week against the Bears. We do play action very well for either A.J. Brown or Corey Davis across the middle. Here's the problem. For whatever reason with the Titans, it's either A.J. Brown goes off or Corey Davis goes off. We have yet to see both of these guys go off. And, I think that would be something very nice Thursday night for Tannehill. I'm not sure Humphreys plays in this game, which will hurt. But like I said, those two, Davis and Brown, if those two could go off, and then who knows, maybe Jonnu Smith can step up too as a tight end. So, but again, you got to start with the run. You got to get that going, and then all sorts of things can open up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, let me ask you this question. The Colts obviously have had their share of injuries, and the Titans as well, through now week 8. So the Colts look like they're getting a little bit healthier. T.Y. Hilton was a full participant in practice, and the Colts look like they're getting a little bit more healthy, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I'm curious for you, monitoring some of these injury situations for the Titans, what are some updates that you kind of have on some of these injuries and potentially some of these guys' availabilities for Thursday night?
Well, it looks like I mentioned earlier, Saffold's going to go, so that's a huge boost to the offensive line. Looks like Jadeveon Clowney's going to play. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We actually played pretty well without him last week, but again, he does put pressure on the quarterback. He just hasn't been able to get there. So it looks like he might go, which will be a boost because for whatever reason, I'll ask you guys this later on in the show, we only dress 3 pass rushers. It's been going on and on all season. Harold Landry, he's a star in the making, we believe. Problem is he plays too much. 99% snaps against the Bengals, 94 last week against the Bears. Can't have that, or these guys are going to start dropping like flies. And then the final one, which hurts me, Dory Jackson does not look like he will be playing. Terry McCormick, Titans insider, came out today and said they may reactivate him from the IR. I think they pretty much have to. Otherwise, he'll be out for the year, I think. But that's a big blow for the Titans secondary for sure. It looks like maybe he'll be able to go against the Ravens, but not Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, Cody mentioned it. T.Y. is going to be back for this game. The Colts are about as healthy as they've been all year. I mean, I wanted to ask you real quick about the offensive line because obviously, like you mentioned earlier, Derrick Henry's had a little bit more difficult time over the last couple weeks getting the ball moving. Obviously, losing Taylor Lewan for a while certainly hurts. It's one of the best left tackles in the game. But what about Zach Conklin? Because obviously when he moved to the Browns, he has really helped that offensive line a lot. And he has helped transform that run game. Do you feel like, this offensive line has struggled this year a little bit more with pass protection and running? Because obviously Derrick Henry's been running it like mad over the last couple weeks, but I feel like that offensive line group is really struggling, and that defensive line, it just seems to be getting thinner and thinner because, Jadeveon Clowney was dealing with some injuries, and, Vic, I think it was Vic Beasley that left just recently. So that defensive line's just getting really thin.
Yeah. Roberson played really well. So that's a name for you guys to watch out. He's a young guy. And he has some actually blazing speed. So it was nice to see some of those guys who wanted to be out there and make plays and play their hearts out. And that's something as Titan fans we took from the Bears game. As far as offense go, I don't want you guys to think. I mean, if you want to think this is fine, but watching the Titans over the last couple of weeks, it looks like Henry's on a pitch count. I mean, that's the only thing that we can come to. It's not that Henry is just being stopped and they're trying Henry. No, if you go look at the Cincinnati game, They gave up on the run. I don't know why they did. The Titans, that was their main point. One drive, I think it was their first touchdown drive against the Bengals. It was nothing but runs. They went to throw the ball on the 3-yard line, nothing. So just give it to Derrick Henry, runs it in for a touchdown. But it seemed like they were more interested in getting Ryan Tannehill going. Henry early on putting up lots of carries. He was going to be on pace for over 400. So you're thinking maybe Vrabel notices that and he doesn't want his running back to go over 400 yards, especially this early in the season. That's what happened last week. They did not go with Henry that much. He still ends up with 21 carries. But it's not like they really stuck with them for a long time. So that is something to note. Maybe they were saving them for you guys. Who knows? Hopefully they were. But yeah, that defensive line's thin. Conklin going to the Browns really does hurt because we drafted Isaiah Wilson and he's yet to play in a game. And honestly, guys, I don't even think he'll play in a game all season long. And that's your number 1 draft pick. So that really does hurt. Kelly, the Undertaker, he is what he is. He's doing his job the best he can. And then Tyson Braylo on the left obviously wasn't looking to play this season, just a backup role. But then Lawan went out, so that kind of forced him in there. But he's done surprisingly well. And then as far as other than last week giving up 3 sacks, the Titans actually were like the top 5 team. I know you guys are number 1, but we were like top 5 with sacks given up. I think we only averaged about 1.2 sacks per game, and now it's up to like 1.5. So I think we're 10th in the league. So we've been hanging on. I think this team's better at pass blocking than run blocking right now, so we'll have to see how that goes towards the middle of the season.
Gotcha. So let's shift to the special teams here. Who's your field goal kicker again? Just so that way I know.
Gostkowski.
Okay, so he's still the kicker.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if after week 3 they decided to just get somebody else, because obviously those first 3 weeks were very rough for him. But I did want to ask, I obviously don't know really anything about your guys' kick return abilities or your punt returns or anything else or punting groups, but how is special teams a concern for you guys, especially for field goal kicking with Gostkowski? Because so far for the Colts this season, Isaiah Rodgers is averaging the highest amount of yards per return on kick returns in the NFL this season. And, Sanchez has had the most punts downed inside the 10-yard line of any kicker in the NFL. And obviously Rodrigo Blankenship, the undrafted kicker out of Georgia that we've got so far, is 17 of 20 on the year when it comes to kicks. So I don't know, how's your special teams overall? And do you think that could be a deciding factor in this game?
Let's see. Started off strong. Well, not the kicking game. We missed 4 kicks in the first week. But
I remember that.
Yeah. But week 2, week 3, oh my goodness, you should see week 3. He was 5 for 5 and 4 of them were 50-yarders. It was unbelievable. He single-handedly won that game for us against the Vikings. But lately, not last week, but the last couple weeks before, Bengals, Steelers, special teams for the Titans has downgraded. Kern, we know he's gone. Hurt his hand, but Allen definitely stepped up last week. He did a really good job for us, the former Patriot kicker. So he fits right in with the bunch, right? New England South or whatever we're called. But we give up seemed like 1 big return a game. So that is concerning. You mentioned injuries earlier. I should have mentioned Milton. You guys know Milton. He's a really good special teamer. And he's been very effective for us when he's been out there. The problem is when he's been out there, seems like he has a hamstring injury and he might not play this game as well. So that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, field goal kicking, I think, put this in perspective, guys. We're 62%. We're dead last in the league. You're 12th in the league at 89%. Look at the difference there, and you're 12th. That just shows you how far behind we are. So we're in some trouble in that category, and I think it's just hang on for dear life for our kicking situation. Well,
and it's weird to think about that too, because Gostkowski's been in this league for a long time. He's a veteran. He knows how to kick in the NFL. It's not like that. But then, you think about Blankenship, who, he's the undrafted rookie. He's the guy that came in, obviously has the nickname of Hot Rod and, kicks field goals up to 60 yards, but he's the rookie. You expect him to have growing pains, but you didn't expect Gostkowski to look as bad as he has this season.
No preseason, being thrown in there, that's a problem. And then coming off the hip surgery definitely obviously has impacted him. And something with the sock, right? So in the week 1, the rumor was he kicked all off season with no sock on. So he put a sock on and he missed all those kicks. So the game winner against Denver, he decides to take his sock off and he made it. So he kept doing that. And then for whatever reason, I think it was against Pittsburgh, maybe, he took his sock, he put his sock back on and he missed the kick to tie it, to send the game to overtime. So I can't figure him out. Just don't kick with the sock on and just make your field goals.
Pat McAfee, if you see this podcast and if you can confirm that socks make a difference in how a player kicks, please let us know. Oh, man, that is a funny story. That actually might be legitimate.
That's crazy, yeah. Wow. And we know all about kicking woes from last year, so we feel your pain a little bit there. That was
oh, we were worse than you last year, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I know. You guys are even worse
like
now,
it.
which is weird
God.
because, it didn't feel like it because Adam Vinatieri, oh my gosh, he cost us so many points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing too. Like your kicks have been I think what one time you guys lost because of a kick, but there were multiple games last season where the Colts lost because of Vinatieri missing multiple field goals. So, I mean, you guys might be missing at a bigger rate than we were last year, but you guys weren't losing games off of your kicker. We were losing multiple games off of our kicker. So
yeah, you guys tried to give us week 2 as well with those missed kicks.
Oh my
we just couldn't take advantage of it.
God, yes. Oh my God.
That was rough. Yeah. Well, speaking of last year's Colts, so this is something that I found interesting. It seems like from whatever reason, beyond a few games, the Titans kind of honestly, in terms of the point margin per victory, a lot of times give me some similar vibes to the Colts last year. Really good at running the ball, pretty decent at passing the ball, playing some good defense. But it wasn't like they were blowing out teams. And besides, I believe it was the Buffalo game, the Titans really haven't blown anybody out of the water this season. I believe right now the point margin for Tennessee is 3.9 overall. So I'm curious for you. The Colts right now are a 6-point margin of victory right now. So I'm curious for you, your thoughts on these Titans, these close games the Titans have played. I mean, we saw it last year. The Colts were winning tight games early on. Then the second half of the season came and they were losing these tight games. Obviously, we're not going to say that's going to happen with the Titans. Who knows what's going to happen? But how concerning is that for you a little bit? They're great. Victories are great. But the margin of victory a lot of times is very minuscule.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I keep hearing from Titan fans and is just good teams find a way to win games. So that's your argument, what you'll hear. Do I buy that? To a certain degree, I do. A couple games early on, Texans, I mean, we should have lost that game. I mean, we fought back. This team's adversity, top notch. If you look at the Steeler game, we fell 24-7. They come out. I mean, it was a tough game for us. I mean, they took away everything from us. We couldn't stop them to save our life in the first half. But man, the Titans, they stuck with it and they almost pulled it off. They really did. They almost pulled it off. And I think they learned a lot from that. Then the next week they go and they lose to Cincinnati. So it's one of those things. You could have lost to the Vikings, could have lost to the Broncos. But what I will say this, Denver game was misleading, missed 3 field goals, missed an extra point. I mean, those are 10 points off the board. That game should have been over earlier. And then, like I mentioned, the Bears were up 24-3 in the fourth quarter, and the Bears put up some garbage points. You know what I mean? So no excuses. Little concerned for sure, but going forward, knowing our playoff run, guys, we're just hoping to get over 9-7, right? We've been 9-7 the last 4 years. We finally see that in our grasp, so we're moving forward. We're not going backwards.
Yeah, I mean, did you guys see the NFL's approved proposal today for the playoff? Said if teams missed games because of that thing. I can't say that on YouTube because we'll get demonetized. So I saw if teams missed games because of that, they'll actually increase it from 6 teams this year to 8, as long as they're able to fix that and make it work. But I mean, that's crazy nonetheless. But I actually thought it was funny because Cody was mentioning point differential. Here's one thing. You guys might not be great when it comes to point differential, but one thing you guys definitely have been really good at this year is turnover margin.
There it is.
And you're number one in the NFL at doing that at a +10 at this moment in time. The Colts are tied at 6th with a +4 turnover differential. So both teams this year, both doing a very good job of not turning the ball over, but forcing turnovers. I know Indianapolis is number 1 in the NFL in interceptions with 11. Ironically, last season, I think the Colts were top 5 in forced fumbles, but yet this year we've only had 1 forced fumble all year long. So the Colts really haven't had a lot of fumbles there. But yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's got to be helpful, and it's got to feel good to know that your defense is getting turnovers and your offense isn't turning the ball over. It certainly helps you win those close games.
Yeah, we had 3 turnovers that we caused for the Steelers. We didn't have any, and we still lost, so that is a concern. Didn't have any turnovers from the Bengals. They didn't give us any, and we lost. So I was interested on your games, on your 3 losses. Have you noticed a pattern? Are those the games you're not getting turnovers?
Yeah, I mean, it's been I think there were 2 interceptions to 1 in the Cleveland Browns game. And then there were, I think it was the same thing for the Jaguars. It was actually 3 turnovers to none in that first week against the Jaguars. And then in this last game, it was another 2 turnovers to 1 in favor of Baltimore. So normally, yeah, if we're behind in the turnover battle, then yes, we lose. But if we're ahead, which we've been in most times this year, then we win.
Yeah. So that's going to be a big thing for Thursday night. Who's going to turn the ball over? We've been pretty good protecting the ball. So we'll see what happens this week for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, for sure. And the Colts also lead the NFL interception. So I mean, that's got to be something to be aware of. The Colts obviously found Julian Blackmon this year, who's been a sensation at free safety as a rookie. I feel like, in the signing of Xavier Rhodes, all this stuff, the Colts are looking really, really good in their secondary. How concerned are you, if the Colts can somehow slow down Tennessee like Chicago did last week a little bit? How concerned are you with this defense that prides itself, maybe not in forced fumbles, but in interceptions? They pride themselves in taking the ball away.
Tannehill almost threw one last week. He made a pretty terrible decision on a 1st and goal at the 7-yard line against the Bengals earlier in the game where he just threw it across his body and got picked off. So Ryan has been struggling as far as, Ryan was amazing. So when you look at his stats, they're just unbelievable. They were comparing him to Aaron Rodgers in an MVP season since he's taken over for the Titans. So the last couple of weeks, they're not awful by any means. He's still doing a good job. But for Titan fans, we have seen him struggle a little bit. Even the huge play by A.J. Brown last week where he caught the ball and went 28 yards or 38 yards with it. He had to go up and get it. But then you do see Tannehill just throw it right in the basket where he hit A.J. Brown for a touchdown. So I know we'll be up for it. Tannehill, he's thrown, 3 interceptions, I think, all season. But, yeah, it is a concern. If we can't run the ball against anybody, we've already shown you what happens when we played Cincinnati. I know you guys struggle with Cincinnati too, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because, we obviously lost. You guys came back and won. But, anybody can win at any time.
Yep.
And, that Buffalo game, that just shows you when it's all clicking what we can do. So hopefully we can do that this Thursday night for sure.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier about, being able to stop the run, and that's mainly been due to the defensive line of the Colts. I think I went on your live stream in the offseason and talked about, the addition of DeForest Buckner and what this defensive line could do this year. Well, this defensive line has blown away all Colts fans' expectations. Cody put it up on the graphic earlier that, we're 12th in the NFL in sacks, which, slightly above average. But, when it comes to pressure rate and how the Colts are able to get consistent pressure on the quarterback, we're top 5 in forced pressures. And, it's just being able to make the quarterback uncomfortable. We've been able to do that several times this year. Does that concern you a little bit with how this Colts defensive line has been able to get such consistent pressure without actually having to blitz? Because the Colts are actually dead last in blitzing percentage when it comes to blitzing the quarterbacks, yet we're still getting these numbers.
Yeah, I thought it is a big concern because I've noticed a drop off from the offensive line when Lawance went out. I mean, right away the numbers didn't go up, but the pressure went up, and anybody watching the game can see that the pressure is going up. Tannehill under a lot more duress. I think the Titans got to do a better job of rolling him out. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's athletic. I know that maybe a lot of people who watch Tannehill, they go back to the Dolphin years and they don't think he's very mobile. He's actually pretty mobile. And he can do a really good job of escaping the pressure and making plays. But I mean, one thing with the if we could get to the red zone, I don't know if you guys are going to bring this up. That is our bread and butter. We're number 2 in the league on red zone offense. You're 21st. So we got to get down there. That's going to be a big key. Can we get inside the red zone and put touchdowns up instead of field goals? As you guys have mentioned, we're 32 in the league in field goal percentage. So we got to score touchdowns against you guys. And that's going to be one of the big keys, I think.
Yeah, you actually stole. That's funny. You took my next question about the red zone. Because like you said, yeah, the Titans right now are about 80%. When they get in the red zone, they score a touchdown 80% of the time, which is absolutely phenomenal. Meanwhile, 24th in the NFL with just over 57, a little over 57%. I think that's going to be huge for this game. I really do. I think that's going to be big. The Colts have struggled on third down and in the red zone all year. And honestly, it's a little bit concerning for me because this offense, we called them out last week. We called them out after this loss. I mean, they put up 10 points on the Ravens defense, and it was just bad, putting the defense in a bad position all game long. So I guess the next question, a little bit, maybe we can get into this again. Right now, the Colts are first in the league in protecting the quarterback. So what do you think the Titans need to do in order to make Phillip Rivers uncomfortable, force him into some errant throws? We know he's prone to that. What do they need to do that and take away some of these Colts receivers who, Michael Pittman Jr. had a good game this last week. What do they need to do in order to make Rivers uncomfortable and maybe force him to give you guys the ball a couple times?
Well, they're going to have to come up with some schemes because they're just having pressure getting there with their normal guys. They just are. We're not doing very good in the league. What are we? We were 30th at one point in sacks. We had 3 last week, but Nick Foles is very non-mobile, as you guys know. So we're going to have to think of, and now King is a big element to this because that's one of his fortes as well as he can blitz the passer. So it's a short week. He only had I don't even know if he practiced last week, but he did score a touchdown for us in a return. But he's one that could come from any location. Clowney plays. He'll come from any location, although he has not got to the quarterback yet this year. But that's what we're going to have to do. That was Dean Pease, and we're definitely missing him as a coordinator. But Vrabel's going to have to figure that part out, and that's, you're going to have to generate some pressure. Now, I will tell you guys this: we are terrible on third down. Now, we did good last week. We were 2 of 15 for the Bears holding them. But usually we're still 32nd in the league in third down percentage. We're actually historically bad, almost like 4th of all time bad, 62%. I think we got that down to 55%, which is good, but that is a concern. But we're going to let you dink and dunk down the field. So I just don't think we're going to give you anything deep. And, that's interesting for me because when I think of Colts teams, that's kind of what I think of. And I think that's what Mariota really gave him fits when we played you guys is, he might look good for a couple passes here or there, but then he would try to force it down the field and you guys would pick him off. So I am interested. I know this isn't my interview to you guys, but are you guys still playing that type of defense? You're Tampa too, or did you guys change it up?
It's pretty much the same thing, but with the defensive line playing the way that it is now, it allows for there's less time for quarterbacks to make a decision to throw in the zone. And that's the great thing is when you can get pressure with 4, you can and not have to blitz, then you can bring less people back, and then you're just able to stop people quicker. So, yeah, we're still running the same defense. Like you said, it's more of not giving up the big play. Just let them just throw those 5-10-yard passes all day long. Eventually, they'll make a mistake. But the Colts have just done so much better with that because now they have guys who are aggressive at the line of scrimmage when it comes to the corners. They're much more aggressive at being able to try and go for an interception. Guys jump routes so much better. And like I said, the defensive line just getting so much better pressure up front. It's just forcing these quarterbacks to get rid of it quicker and not being able to find guys in the zone.
Yeah. So, I mean, anybody in the house, I see Keisha Bible in the house, so I wanted to give her a shout out. She's definitely Titan Blue. But go back and watch the Bills game, do the 30 clip thing or the 30 for 30 or whatever they call it, where it's like a quick 30 minutes. And that's exactly when the Titans defense is just, they give up a lot of yards, but when it's time to clamp down, they usually do a good job. I mean, that's what they're supposed to be doing. So I'll be interested to see if we use the same approach against Rivers this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, also for the 60 people that are in here, thank you. Whether you're a Titans fan or a Colts fan in here, thank you guys so much for being in here. One person I did want to ask you about, and that is Desmond King. Obviously, you guys just got him about 2 weeks ago. Was last week the first game that he actually played in?
Yep, that was it.
I was going to say he had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, wasn't it? Or was it an interception?
Fumble recovery.
Fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Simmons stripped it loose. Simmons is playing out of his mind, guys. So that's one guy that we're loving. So, and Daquan Jones stepped up big last week. So it was nice to see our line finally. But the Bears also had.
Yeah, I was going to say that, like, you know, the Bears' historically bad offense right now. Like, people are actually calling for Matt Nagy to stop calling plays at this point because, you know, his offenses have gotten worse and worse and worse over the last 3 years, no matter what they've done at the quarterback position. So overall, their offenses are just, they're nothing. They're nothing. They barely did anything on the Colts either. But yeah, I mean, that made me very salty that you guys gave up what? It was a 6th rounder for him. That was absolutely stupid to me. I don't know how there was nobody else that said, oh, we'll give you a 5th rounder for Desmond King. Like, if it were me, I would have been okay with giving up a 3rd rounder for Desmond King. That's how good of a corner I think he is. But like, I mean, that's gotta put a smile on your face to know that's another guy in that secondary that can make plays. Because I mean, Desmond King, you know, one of the names that was on that Chargers team for a couple years now. You know, you had Derwin James and Desmond King was the next one. I mean, that has to feel really good to know you got Desmond King for virtually nothing.
Yeah, there was a guy who called in. He worked for The Athletic who covered the Chargers. And he kind of brought up the whole Desmond King thing and why the Chargers were bouncing him out of town. I mean, 2018 All-Pro first team and then an All-Pro second team for punt returner. You don't just let these guys go for a 6th-round pick. But he's been late for some meetings. He's been disgruntled. He's fallen out of favor in the Chargers. And then he's been getting removed. He was on the punt team. He didn't make some blocks. He was gone. They removed him from punt returner. He kept fumbling. So, and then his playing time diminished when they brought over Harris from the Broncos, but they've had injuries, but I think he was only playing like 55% of the snaps. So I think change of scenery was definitely big. And he's apparently worked out with Malcolm Butler and Dory Jackson. So, I mean, they have some familiarity with each other. And then he also is somewhat went it to Iowa. So he has some sort of relationship with our guy from Iowa, Hooker. So, you know, it seemed to work out good. I mean, he seems energized. He's excited. The only issue with him is it's a contract year. So are we going to be able to afford him at the end of the year? And Dory Jackson and a lot of these other guys that we have. And you do have Coach Vrabel in the house, by the way. So
yeah, I did see that. So, I saw that. I was looking great. He's in here again. He was in here. He was in here. I think he was in here for, I think it was the Jacksonville stream right after we lost, and was just
he's a good guy.
I think he got timed out multiple times because our mods were not having it with him that day. But that's funny. I'm just seeing a lot of freaking Titans people in here now. So,
Yeah.
We're excited. I mean, we're leading the division. I love Cody's little gifts that he sends me. The Colts are coming. It makes me chuckle all the time. But after the Bengals game, I didn't want to open any of those.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to rub it in his face, because y'all would have done that for us if we had actually lost to them. I mean, the funny thing is the Bengals scored 21 points in the first 15 minutes and 30 seconds of that game, and then they scored 6 points the whole rest of the game after that. It's like, the Colts finally decided, okay, it's time to actually start doing work now. And they just, Phillip Rivers had the time of his life just picking apart that defense. So yeah, that was not fun to watch. I was in the hospital when that game was going on, and believe me, I turned it off in the first half. And then my brother, who's at the game, says, oh yeah, the score is close now, you can turn it back on. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I did, and man, I'm so glad I watched that again. Jeez,
dude. Yeah, I was at that game, and I was just like, okay, what is wrong with Frank Reich? What is wrong with their offense? Like, it was just like all these questions. Like, if we lose this game, we got some bigger problems here. And so, but then seeing what they did to the Titans, I'm like, okay, I don't feel as bad now. Like, Joe Burrow's for real.
Yeah,
I feel a little bit better about it, but. Yeah, and I'm curious how much you think Desmond King will help you guys, because I'll just pull up the stat here one more time on your guys' pass defense. It's not the greatest right now in terms of passing yards allowed. 27th right now in the league. Completion percentage is 20th. So struggling right now to stop some receivers, stop some passing attacks. How much do you think he potentially helps you guys on defense since you guys have struggled so much? You mentioned Dory Jackson is injured, probably won't play in this game. How important is a guy like Desmond King for your guys' secondary?
I'm going to ask you a question here.
Go for it.
Okay. If he had Jonathan Joseph on your team, guys, okay, Derek and Cody, okay, where would he play? Would he be on the team?
He wouldn't be on my team. He'd be on the bus heading back to Houston.
Okay.
I wouldn't want him. Not at all.
Okay. So he was brought, to be fair, he was brought in to be a 4 or 5 and bring leadership and maybe give us some sort of leg up to bring in Clowney. That's why he was brought in.
Gotcha.
They did not see Dory Jackson being out and having all sorts of issues. The number 2 pick, Fulton, having all sorts of issues and not being able to play. They did not see that. So he was playing the number 2 spot. And let me tell you, when the next generation stats and all those things came out, they were just targeting his side all the stinking time. Well, what happened against the Bears? Jonathan Joseph wasn't on the field. What happened to third down percentage? 2 for 15, right? So we're hoping that Desmond King, like last week, will be able to fill a role that he's more comfortable with and getting rid of a guy who just wasn't getting it done. And it's no disrespect. Jonathan Joseph been in the league a long time. I'm not going to stand up here and act all, and all that stuff towards him. It stinks. Don't get me wrong. He didn't play very well, but like I said, he wasn't brought in to be a number 2, so to speak. So again, we're not going to have Fulton this week. Chris Jackson's from Marshall. He's a 7th round pick. He's okay, but he's given up 125 QB rating for passer rating for people throwing the ball towards him. So that's not very good. But he didn't really play a whole lot. And here's a guy just comes out of nowhere. Borders played number 2 last week for the most part. Played the entire game on defense. Was second in the team in tackles, and that's not good for a corner. But you didn't notice him. He didn't give up any big plays. Did a phenomenal job for us. So I'm very interested to see that name. So again, Borders.
See, now
we certainly remember
fans,
that.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, you Titans fans, you guys may not have like any personal beef with Jonathan Joseph, but we as Colts fans, we know this guy very well. Okay. When he was in Houston, we've always made the joke that he, despite being older than T.Y. Hilton, he is the son of T.Y. Hilton because he burns him every time that he goes up against him. So it's funny because, Jonathan Joseph, how old is he now? Is he like 36? It's like 36, isn't he?
Yeah,
30,
going on 37.
Yeah, it's like, geez, like, man, I know you're trying to hang out in the league a little bit, but man, like 37 years old, dude, I think you might want to just say cut it quits at this point. You've had a long career.
The Cardinals picked him up. They claimed him.
Jeez.
And the Cardinals are doing really well. I know they lost to Miami, but so he goes from the Titans to the Cardinals.
They really needed a backup corner that much. Like, really, they couldn't get anybody else than Jonathan Joseph, the guy that gets burnt by T.Y. Hilton every game that we saw him. It's like 150 every time. It's $150 every time he saw him. Like, wow. Oh man.
We don't want to see T.Y. Hilton either. I think he gets $150 on us every time. So,
well, I mean, I don't know if he'll throw that on you this year. I mean, T.Y. Hilton,
what's up with him? Is it?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't know if Cody could tell you. Honestly, there's multiple different things that are going on with him, but this has been a really weird season for him. This is completely out of character from what we're used to seeing from a T.Y. Hilton. It's almost gotten to the point where Cody has been pretty adamant about this on Twitter that, it might be in the best interest of the team to consider just moving on from him at the end of the season. Like, as good as he's been throughout his career here, if they can't get him for like a cheap deal, then, it's not worth giving him a ton of money when you can invest that into something else. Cause I mean, the production just isn't there.
Yeah. I'm shocked on that. I see him in some fantasy leagues just sitting there and I'm like, why is he sitting there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's been weird. Cody, I don't know if you want to answer that for him. Cause I can't answer it.
Yeah. No, I think it's just something that we saw, especially with Reggie Wayne a few years ago. It's just age, I think. And just, he's been injured a lot. And when you get older, it's just natural. Like, it's harder to get back. And with the type of receiver that T.Y. Hilton is, more of a speedy kind of receiver, it kind of hurts him, I think, a little bit more. So it really stinks, to see him doing that. It's just, that. And also Rivers likes to spread the ball around a lot. So, like, T.Y. Hilton, with Andrew Luck, it was like T.Y. Hilton was the guy all the time because they had nobody else. And so I think now they spread the ball around a lot. So T.Y. gets a couple catches a game, but it's not like going for $150 anymore. I think there's a bunch of different reasons, like you said, Derek. Those are the top ones for me, honestly.
Yeah, Tez, I'm not going to leave that up there for very long because I don't want to cut Titans' face in half, even though that might be doing the Colts fans a favor in the chat. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But I see that last question there, Tez, and he's – oh my gosh, throwing that up there. Okay, all right. See, so now he's asking about Trey Lance. See, that's here. I'm going to ask your top 4 quarterbacks right now, Titan Upload in college. I don't know how much you watch. I don't know how much you dove into it at all, but is there any quarterbacks? Like, obviously we know Trevor Lawrence, everyone talking about him being number 1, but is there anybody else in college that kind of piques your interest? Like, if the Titans just needed a quarterback right now and there's somebody else that you wanted to grab in this draft, is there somebody that would interest you?
No, other than Fields, no. Not really.
Thank you. Like, everyone, I don't know. I don't know what draft people think it's a smart idea to say that Justin Fields is the 4th best quarterback in this draft board. Like, are you kidding me? That guy is this close to Trevor Lawrence. He's this close. I don't care what anyone says. Trevor Lawrence is not here and everyone else is down here. Justin Fields is right there. He's right on his tail. He's got such a pretty deep ball. It's actually incredible.
I don't know if Haskins people look at Haskins and then they look at Fields because of Ohio State.
It's Ohio State in general because, like, Ohio State has had very few quarterbacks that have ever come into the NFL and have actually produced. Like, Troy Smith, Heisman Trophy winner, never was really anything in the NFL. You had Terrell Pryor. He eventually became a wide receiver. Braxton Miller eventually became a wide receiver in the NFL. JT Barrett never lasted. Dwayne Haskins. Now, in my opinion, Dwayne Haskins was never given a fair shot by the organization that drafted him. So I kind of hate the situation they put him in. But Look, here's the crazy part for anyone that doesn't know Big Ten football this year. Justin Fields has 5 more touchdowns on the year than he does incompletions. Through 3 games, he has 7 incompletions. And I promise you, because I've counted it, 4 of those incompletions were drops where they were hit straight in the hands. So he realistically only has 3 incompletions where he threw the ball away or it didn't look good on the season. And that's incredible because this guy is making it look easy right now. He actually looks better than Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion.
Where could you trade up to get a quarterback, though, do you think?
Oh my gosh, you'd have to trade up into the top 2 or 3 because I mean, you know, obviously the Jets are going to go with somebody. I think Darnold's out the door. And then, you know, everybody's talking about Jacksonville. Are they going to draft their quarterback of the future because they don't have faith in Gardner Minshew?
No.
So yeah, I think they're probably going to go Justin Fields unless like the Colts gave them because I've been so adamant. I want the Colts to trade everything to get Justin Fields. I don't care if you have to trade every pick in the draft to get Justin Fields this year. Please just get him because that's your future. But obviously the Colts won't do that, and I don't even know if the Jaguars would take it. To be honest,
that's the thing. If I was you guys, I'd be yes, this season, fine, right? But after the season, when Rivers is officially done, that has to be a concern because your team's too good right now. You got a top 5, I would say top 2 offensive line. Your defense, you guys have mentioned a lot of the stats, me even looking them up, top 3 for sure. And then you don't have a quarterback. So you see what's going on in Dallas. And I know you guys are bringing up Dak, so I got to ask. You have a shot at Dak?
I brought it up. Cody won't even mention it. Cody won't even give his opinion because he doesn't want to get dragged in the conversation at all.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm staying out of this one.
I made the video. I made the video a few months ago before when all the deal stuff was going on with Dak, and I'm like, because Vegas odds was like, oh, the Colts are the favorite to land Dak Prescott next year if he doesn't sign back. I was like, yeah, that makes sense because, you know, the Colts would have some of the highest cap room. They'd be able to pay for him. And obviously the Colts need a quarterback. So, you know, it's kind of like I would not be opposed to the idea. Now, in that original video, I never said whether or not I wanted him or not. I said it was a possibility, and people crucified the hell out of me for even suggesting the idea of Dak Prescott coming. And now Cody posted it later today. And said, what about the possibility of it now? 90% of people commenting on it say, you know, I actually wouldn't be opposed to it.
It's crazy. It's so hilarious.
What changed? What happened? Now all of a sudden everybody sees what's happening in Dallas, and they're like, oh, the demise of Dallas, it's because Dak Prescott's no longer there. Well, look, Dak Prescott would not be changing the record of the Dallas Cowboys, but he would at least have made them look competitive in a lot more of these games than what they have been. But I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to the idea as long as we're not having to pay him like $40 million a year, though.
That's what he wants.
That's what he wants, but he ain't going to get it.
You know,
but he might this year because he might get it this year now because, you know, you're seeing how bad Dallas is without him. So,
yeah.
Man. Well, like, how much do you think he would command, Derek?
What, how much would I pay him?
How much do you think he's worth at this point?
Oh my gosh, people are going to hate me when I say this. Look, I am perfectly fine with saying 30 million to about 33 million. I'd be perfectly fine with giving him that much money. He obviously looks as good. He's better than Matty Ice. Matty Ice is getting paid $30 million a year for 5 years. So give Dak Prescott a 4-year, $32 million contract. It's $4 million extra than what you were paying Andrew Luck when Ryan Grigson was still the GM. And obviously, if Andrew Luck was in the NFL now, then Andrew Luck would be a top 3 paid quarterback because he's that good. But, you know, I mean, I would not be opposed to, you know, giving him 30 to 33 million. That's not out of the range for me.
I mean, you're paying freaking Jacoby Brissett and Phillip Rivers how much this year?
Yeah, right.
So,
You're already paying, Phillip Rivers $25 million for 1 year. So, I mean, are you telling me that Dak Prescott's not worth $7 million more than Phillip Rivers? I think he is.
Yeah, but
He won't want that though. He won't want that though. That's the problem. Now, I heard that he was almost about to sign with Dallas on a 4-year deal worth $34 million, but he called them back like too late and they couldn't get the deal done before the trade, before the deadline, before the franchise tag deadline. So, he was going to sign on $34 million. I think that number's probably going to go up this next offseason. It's probably 35 at a minimum now.
I heard it was that last year deal. Did he want like 45 million or something for that 1 year? I wanted to put him up there with Mahomes.
He wanted that 1 year of his contract to be like 45 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, geez, man. I mean, look, Patrick Mahomes is a generational player. He's already shown it. And, for him to only be a starter now for 3 years, he already looks like he may go down as the best quarterback to ever play the game if he continues on this pace for 10 years. But, I mean, yeah, Dak is not worth $45 million ever on any given year. No, never.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I've been big on the Colts trying to get Sam Darnold from the Jets. I've actually been pretty high on that opportunity because, again, Darnold is younger and, he's had those options. And again, he's been put into a really bad situation with the Jets. Been really bad. He's never been protected. He's never had offense, and the coach never puts him in a good spot. I think going to Indianapolis would be such a big thing for him because it would reintroduce confidence into him because he would have a good offensive line, a team that prides itself on wanting to run the football, and just a better state of mind for him. And again, he's a mobile quarterback. People forget that about him, but he definitely can move.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to put this up already, but I guess we could talk about it. Like for the people that were like, no Dak, like look at that amount of salary cap the Colts have after paying DeForest Buckner what they did. And you got to pay a few other guys, but like the Colts still got some money they could work with. So I think they got to go out and they got to get some dudes here in the offseason for sure. But
what's the cap for the Titans right now? You have any idea? Upload. You have any idea at all?
I think we are right now a little. I think they said we could have made a play for Gilmore, and he would have been around 8 or 9, so we would have been able to muster that somehow. Okay. But next year we'll lose the 9 to 12 million from Beasley. We'll lose the Clowney 15 million or whatever it is. So I think we'll have roughly around 30 million maybe next year.
Wow.
But not 94, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's quite the difference there. Jesus.
Right.
I mean, you guys did just get done paying your quarterback. So obviously that had to be taken into account. And I mean, and so far this year, has Tannehill lived up to that contract? I would say so far he's looked like he's lived up to it.
Yeah, he's done really well. And yeah, we get on him a little bit from his last couple week performances, but for the most part, he's been playing out of his mind, like I said. So he's going to come back a little bit. You just don't like to see him throw across his body, but he was just trying to make a play. And again, you look across the field at our defense and how bad they were playing at the time. I think maybe the offense felt a little bit of the pressure.
Yeah.
Well, Cody, I think we're starting to get to that point. Unless you have something else you want to ask, we can just start going into a score predictions here. So
yep, that was it. Score predictions.
There you go. We're starting to get to that point of the stream here. We'll get to there.
All right. So I'll let you go tighten upload. Then Derek, you can go, and then I'll go and give my prediction for this game.
All right.
Okay. Well, I will say this. We got to split. I mean, I think it's very vital that both teams split. I don't think either one of us can get swept. It's really going to hurt. Now, you guys got that loss to Jacksonville. Could that come back and haunt you later on? Could. We still have to go to Jacksonville and play, and they almost beat us in week 2. And we still have to play Houston the last week of the season. And you guys got 2 against Houston, I believe, right?
Yeah, we still got 2 against Houston, yeah.
So the Titans are going to be put on the spot, right? Home game. I know that, there's not a lot of fans, but still there's a difference playing at home or at Indy where we traditionally don't play well. So we're going to have to go out and win. We're coming off a big win against the Bears. I know it was against 4 of their linemen being out, but still, we had a 2-game losing streak. So it was nice to get that going. I got to go Titans here. Surprise, surprise. I think the Titans will shock you a little bit. I think they're going to be motivated. I think, honestly, for the most part, and I see it in the chat room, and it does not surprise me. So shout out to everybody. I don't think you really respect the Titans. I don't think Colts fans do. You had your way with us for how many years?
6 of them. 6 of them.
But you saw what happened to us last year, and it was one of those take 2 things. And you're like, they're not going to do it again this year. And here we go, Titans and Colts. But to be honest, Derek, especially you, man, you know this. I always said Titans and Colts, Titans and Colts. And I thought it could go either way. Titans, Colts, Titans, Colts. So here we are. So we have to see in the next 3 weeks, we play twice. I don't like that. I bet you guys don't like that either. I don't think it's fair to the players. I think it's fair to the coaches to have to do that. But the Titans are going to have to go all in and show a performance. We don't get a lot of primetime games. So this is one that hopefully we can show up. And you guys remember that at some point, a couple of years ago on Fox, it was a national Thursday night game. The world was introduced to Derrick Henry and his over 200 yards and stiff arms. So look for the Titans to do something. So I'll go Titans, Eddie George, 27, Colts, 21.
All right. Yeah, that game against the Jags where he pulled off that 99-yard run, that is still the greatest run I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a man just stiff arm the entire defense and just say, "Get off me." I mean, you're right. That was the surgence of Derrick Henry, and his legacy will forever go from that point on. I'm hoping the Colts make me eat my words here. I really don't like doing this, but I will do it because I'm objective and I don't like to be that Homer fan. And I'm objective when it comes to my analysis of this. It is a short week. Obviously, I think the Colts are slightly more healthy than the Titans, but we all know that on a short week, the home team is always the favorite, regardless of whether or not there's fans in the stands. The team that is at home almost always gets the advantage there, even though Nashville's not too far away from Indy, but it's still a drive. So I think this will be a close one. And I really hope the Colts make me eat my words here, but I think the Titans pull this one off 24-20.
Derek, I'm disappointed.
What do you mean disappointed? Last week you were the only one that didn't select the Colts to win the game last week. Joe Nubo came on our podcast, and he, even as a Ravens fan, said the Colts were going to win. Don't say that you're disappointed in me. Come at me with that.
I predicted it right, so
exactly.
I'm not going to go 2 losses in a row. I mean, you look at Frank Reich, and I don't want to disrespect the Titans because they are a very good football team. But Frank Reich's record off of a loss is just phenomenal. And I think the Colts, they showed flashes in that first half. Oh, my word.
Oh, my God. I see Colts talk here. Colts talk. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to, but they're all saying, "What the hell, Derek?" All right, great. I'm the clown of here. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
No, but I do think this is going to be a really close game. Like, I really do. I think it's going to go either way. And like, Tennessee's a hard place to win, especially recently with the Colts. They lost. They didn't lose last year, or was it? I can't remember. Last year's like
you beat us.
Okay, but that was with Mariota. I mean, come on. So I think it's going to be, honestly, and I think 20-17 Colts, and I'm trying not to be a homer here, I promise. I just think looking at Frank Reich's record, the motivation of this team after pretty much being embarrassed in that second half on offense. I think it's going to be that. And I can't just go clean sweep here for the Colts. So I gotta do my work here. So I'm going to go 2017 Colts. Colts are victorious down in Nashville, but it could be either way.
I do truly believe that that these teams were I do believe these teams will split. I honestly do think that. I think one way or the other. Yeah. And especially because that's become the shift over the last few years that, when we play you guys in our stadium, we destroy you. And then when we play in your stadium, you guys have the tendency to beat us. I mean, didn't you destroy us last year in your stadium? I mean, I thought you guys won.
We destroyed you in your stadium.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that was your first experience with Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, that was the best decision you guys could have ever made.
That was a close game, remember? That was late third quarter. It was tied, and then that blocked field goal return changed that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's always tight. It really is.
Man, get these people in here.
They
are so mad at me. They're so mad at me for that. Like I said, guys, I'm really hoping the Colts make me eat my words here. I just have the idea that us on a short week going to Tennessee and a team that I think we're going to split with this year, they're going to have the edge just at home slightly. And then when they come to our building, when we have a whole week to prepare, then I think we're going to be in a better spot. But I mean, you never know.
Vegas still 2.5, or did it change? Do you guys know?
I add it up.
I can check ESPN. I have
usually
no idea.
get 3 points for being at home, so that kind of tells you what Vegas is thinking, right?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Hold up here myself. I almost have it here. Hang on.
Colts or Tennessee's a 2-point favorite on ESPN.
So it dropped in a half a point maybe then.
Yep, the spread is Titans -2.
Okay. So again, you usually get 3 points. That's traditional, I would think. I'm not a gambler, but that's what I've heard. So, I don't know. They're predicting a close game. I think we all are too.
I think so too. Yeah, I don't think that, I just don't think that either team at this moment in time just has anything about them that screams that advantage over the other. Obviously Titans have things that, you guys obviously can pass the ball a little more effectively than we can. We obviously have a slightly better defense than you guys do.
No, you don't. It's not slightly better.
It's slightly.
I was trying to be nice. Okay. But apparently I can't even do that on this podcast. No. But okay. Yeah. So basically we have a much better defense than you guys. We have a better passing offense than we do. And you definitely have a much better running game than we do this year.
Yeah. What's up with that? That's all I heard about. Derek, you too. You kept bringing it up.
Yeah, we have no. Well, I can answer that for you actually, and it's a player called Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack not being there, not running behind this offensive line. That was the drawing line. When you had to have your rookie running back then take the majority of the load and, try to learn on the fly how to run behind an NFL offensive line with no preseason, no early training camp or anything. And then, obviously Jordan Wilkins has been pretty good for us, but, it's been a multitude of things. Marlon Mack not being there, the offensive line just not blocking the way that we normally are accustomed to seeing them block. Jonathan Taylor not hitting the holes properly that, we normally see Marlon Mack make. It's been a combination of just all of those things, and it's been really, really bad.
Yeah, and I know, this is kind of what we always thought. We thought even with Taylor being drafted, we were going to see a lot of Mack if he stayed healthy early on, and kind of sprinkle in Taylor. And I actually tweeted something earlier today. I'm like, how much would our fans' perspective, be changed if Marlon Mack was still healthy, right? If he was the lead guy, and then just sprinkled in Jonathan Taylor, a few snaps per game, whatever it would be, I feel like the perspective will be completely changed. I really do. And I think it's just he, like you mentioned with Gostkowski, I mean, he had no preseason, he had nothing. And week 2, he's a starter moving forward when Matt goes down. So, like, I think all those combination, and he just, he's had some things he has to work on. I'm not just going to make excuses for him because he has had his fair share of rookie moments. But I think he has the talent, and the good thing is he's going to grow in a lot of these areas. He's got one of the best running back coaches in Tom Rathman, who, Marlon Mack from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 has grown exponentially under Tom Rathman. So I think I'm willing to be patient with him. I'm willing to kind of have him split with Jordan Wilkins. And I don't know. It's just really weird, especially the last 2 years, how good they've been to how bad they've been this year. I mean, it's really been puzzling.
Yeah. I remember Wilkins. He kind of sealed that game against us last year, if I'm not mistaken, week 2.
Yeah.
Huge run, like 51-yard run or whatever.
Yeah, that 50-yard run, yeah.
So, I don't know, guys. I think go either way. I think these guys, it's obviously between us now. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans are pretty much finished. So,
yeah, right. It's pretty much it at this point.
But if we could sweep you, now you're down to, 5 losses? But if you sweep us, we're down to 4, but you have the tiebreaker. So, I mean, that's why these teams got to split. I mean,
yeah. It's going to be tough. I mean, I don't know how your guys' schedule is, but I mean, we got to face you guys. We got to go then face Green Bay.
We're going to Baltimore.
And we got to face you guys again. We got to face the Raiders, which they always seem to give us troubles. And then, regardless of how Houston and Jacksonville have been, they are divisional rivals, and everyone knows that. Still makes it weird. But yeah, I mean, Colts certainly had, starting last week, their schedule got much, much tougher here at the end of the season. And we got to play Pittsburgh, I believe, later on in the year as well. So, it's that one's going to suck. But, I think funny thing is Roethlisberger and a bunch of players from the Steelers were on the reserve COVID list as well, because a bunch of them came in contact with somebody. So
yeah, and they were running their mouth against the Titans, if you remember that, in week 4, because Ebron was going to miss a birthday party. So he was.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he was talking about how the NFL is trash because they're making them play during that bye week. Yeah, it's like, bro, you decided to play. You knew circumstances were gonna get weird. First off, a lot of Colts Nation doesn't like Eric Ebron, so we don't really care what he says because he bashed the Colts whenever he left. He's glad to be on a team where, he's the 5th option on it and, decides to talk smack about our team. But yeah, it's funny that, and I actually want to hear your perspective on this because I was pretty adamant about it. When that whole situation happened with the several guys that were impacted by this virus, and, we were hearing the reports of, a lot of these guys breaking protocol and they were doing it on purpose. They weren't really caring too much about it. And then you see guys like Taylor Lewan and a few others after finally coming back, and they're saying they're victims in all this because, the NFL's targeting them or they're getting unfair criticism. How do you respond to that? Because me personally, I did not like that. I think that anyone on the Titans organization that says they're victims and what they created needs to, have something done. I didn't like the punishment that the NFL gave them. I thought that was kind of like a slap on the wrist sort of thing. Like, what was your perspective for all that? Last thing I'll ask you before we move on.
Yeah, well, I would say at first we were upset. The reports coming out from the NFL were the Titans were going to maybe lose a draft pick. I mean, it was so bad that it was supposed to be one of the worst punishments of all time. But then we heard Roger Goodell come out and say, Titans really didn't do anything, out of the ordinary. Learning experience, maybe should have did one thing or this thing, but not anything that the media was reporting. So what happened was you had a lot of players running their mouth. We should forfeit. But again, if you're in that position, I remember when you guys had a scare, and I remember, I wasn't going to fall in that trap, point fingers at you guys. I was praying for you guys. Everybody was okay because this is a scary time. And I think that's kind of what the Titans were hoping, that people would be more empathetic towards them, not right away pointing the finger. Now, there was a issue about them going out and meeting as a team, but I will put this in perspective. They were not sure they were going to play. They were told they were still playing on Sunday, and they were not told that they could not go out and practice outside of the stadium. I mean, maybe it's common sense for us to think that way, but that's why I don't think there was that big of a punishment. I think they just got a fine because, hey, they did all this reporting and they did all this investigation. They got to give them something, right? And make the league. Now, look what the Raiders have done. They've lost a draft pick. So I think Taylor Lewan could have handled it probably better, but those guys were emotional. They took it out on the Bills. Ebron's lucky. That would have been the Steelers. I've never seen the Titans so motivated before to play a game.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, I get it from the outside, but again, I think they were looking for more compassion. The rumor was they were just showing up, not wearing masks in the building and doing their own thing, but I think those were fake or fictional. I don't buy any of that.
Gotcha. That's interesting. Yeah, it's good that I heard that because, that kind of changes how it is because it's like, I heard what the media was saying. Everyone was saying, the investigation on players being ignorant and not following protocol. But you're right. If they truly were, just there were some mistakes between protocol from the NFL and the team, then yeah, I mean that's certainly different. You're right. Things could have been handled differently, but like you said, I mean, of course, we don't want anyone to have to deal with this because, it's from personal experience. I don't want anyone to deal with this. Believe me, I've had it. I know what it's like. So I certainly don't want anyone to deal with it. Now the chat is just nothing but Ebron and Ebron being a quitter and everything else. That's great. I started a trend. I didn't even mean to do that. Oh, man. Cody, you got anything else, man, before we hop on off here?
No, this has been a longer one, so I think we're all kind of tired and ready to go.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm ready to go to bed.
Hey, I do want to say, you guys in the chat, these guys wanted to go early. The reason why we're going late is because so I couldn't come on till later on. So I did want to. I'll take the blame on this one, you guys, because I know you're an hour ahead of me. So
yeah. We told the chat before you got on that we said unlike us, you got family to deal with. So we were like, okay. Everybody was like, yeah, we get it. It's like, yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
But I appreciate it. It's always fun to talk to you guys, and man, couple more weeks, we'll be right back at it again. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun.
And hopefully in a couple more weeks, we're both past 4K on YouTube. That's the hope.
Yeah, that would be nice. You guys are super close. So
super close. And hey, man, you're going to get there at some point very soon as well, man. Very soon.
Yeah. Nomadic Brian, nice comment.
It's all Tighten Up Club's fault. He's always in here.
We got King Nat and Dime Soul. I want to give those guys shout outs because I know that they're always in my streams talking Titans. So thanks for hopping on. And
one person I'm surprised we didn't see in here today was LGRW. He's always in here on some of ours, and I know he's in yours because I was talking with him in one of your chats before. I know he knows who you are, but yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't in here because he always is in here when we talk Titans. And yeah, I thought he would have loved to have been in here to try and back you up, but I'm surprised he wasn't here.
I haven't seen him in a while, to be honest with you. I think he might have been in one of the streams a week ago, but maybe it's just the time that we go on. Usually it's right after the game, about 30 minutes after the game. So what are you guys just playing on Thursday? Any interest stopping by the watch party for a few?
Yeah, I might. I mean, I'm trying to get Tennessee Titans Weekly on ours for a pregame stream. We'll probably just do an early live stream for a pregame, and then I think Cody, what were we planning to do for the actual live stream? Because are you doing it? Am I doing it? I don't know.
Well, we will have to talk about that.
We'll have to talk about that.
Decided.
Yeah. But we tried to get a certain we tried to get a reporter on for one of the streams for pregame, but I don't think that's going to work out. So, we're just going to have to figure things out as we go.
Yeah.
And Puck, I appreciate that comment. You're right. The Titans fans and Titans organization, they never try to help us out, man. Jeez. Oh man.
Hey, did you guys have Ravens Red Zone come after you last week?
Did we?
Yeah.
I don't
think
so. I don't think so. I didn't see anything.
Okay, they're two old guys. It's all good fun, but they definitely like to run their mouth. So I didn't know if they would come call it for you guys.
Oh well, no. I mean, we had Joe Nubo on, but I haven't seen. I'll have to look that up, see if they did. But I haven't seen anything. Normally, if people see something, they'll tag us or they'll send it to Cody, and Cody will show me in the aftermath.
I don't know why they would send it to me.
They always send it to you because your name is on the podcast. Everyone associates you with the podcast. That's just it. You're the bigger follower on social media. You run the social media accounts. Everyone knows it from the Cody Felger podcast before I came on. So it's just, and your email is associated with the podcast. So it's like, there's a lot of things that go straight through you and not to me. You just have to tell me about it later on. Whenever there's Colts drama, you're the first one to get told somehow.
And the first one to get blamed too. It's wonderful.
Yeah, you're always the first one to get blamed. You're the only one to get blamed, actually, which is funny to think about.
Great.
Oh man, that was still so funny. And we're not going to talk about that though on here because we're going to be nice people. And I think we're going to end the stream with that. So thank you guys again so much. We had about 60 people in here at one point. Thank you to all the Titans fans and all the Colts fans that stayed up late with us tonight to talk the Colts versus Titans preview for this week. Thank you, Mr. Titan Upload, for being on here, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. A lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much again. Oh, no. Titan down. Can we do it's not the horns down, right? It's just like that. But just imagine just somebody take a Titans logo and just throw it down. Thank you. I think that's going to do it. But thank